I apologize. Peter Doocy has more now of what's coming out of that room behind him there, where we have at least one guilty count. Peter, what can you tell us?
Neil, the jury came and said that they had verdicts on 8 of the 18 charges, and on count number 1, the jury has reached a unanimous decision that Paul Manafort is guilty of filing fake tax returns. I'm getting handed a sheet that has the word guilty on it. 5 times. We got count 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 dealing with filing fake tax returns in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2014. And Paul Manafort has been found guilty by the jury on all 5 of those counts. It sounds like outside the court, there's just one person cheering. I couldn't tell what it was. So 5 of 8 so far are guilty for the Manafort team, and we expect to have the next few charges any minute. We also expect to find out what's going to happen, what the judge wants to do with these 10 charges that the jurors say they could not reach a unanimous decision on during their 4 days of deliberation. Neil?
All right, Peter, thank you very much. And again, just to sort this out, we are talking about Paul Manafort. This is in Alexandria, Virginia. This is a separate look about the 18 counts that were originally facing him on this wave of prosecution against the former campaign manager for Donald Trump. And again, very, very early on in the process, but at least 5 guilty counts. Separately, the Michael Cohen situation in Manhattan, of course, the president's personal lawyer, who has pled guilty to campaign violations, financial fraud, all of which could land him in the slammer for up to 5 years. So, Robert, you're hearing all of this and more to the Manafort situation. Your thoughts?
On the Manafort situation, we have yet to hear about 3 remaining of the 8 counts, but it looks like 5 guilty verdicts. I'm imagining the other 3 are likely to be guilty as well. Who knows? But right. We'll find out. And he was found guilty with regard to the tax charges. There wasn't much of a defense with regard to that. You know, you file your own tax returns, you know what you filed, you sign them. I suspect that the jury probably did have some trouble with some things related to the bank fraud charges.
Yeah, these are weighty financial issues. Peter Doocy, you have more. It's a little more complicated. Absolutely. Or Peter Doocy, you have more for us.
And on those 3 outstanding verdicts, Paul Manafort has been found guilty as well. So on the 8 charges out of 18 that the Manafort jury said that they could come to unanimous verdicts on, they have found Paul Manafort guilty on all of them. The first 5 guilty that we got were all relating to falsely filed tax returns. These 3 have to do with a failure to file a foreign bank account report, bank fraud in getting a $3.5 million loan from Citizens Bank, and bank fraud in getting a $1 million loan from the Bank of California. So we still do not know what the judge wants to do with these 10 charges that the jury could not come to a unanimous verdict on, but they are 8 for 8 in guilty against Paul Manafort, and two of these 3 that just came in carry a maximum prison sentence of 30 years apiece. The first 5 carry maximum prison sentences of 3 years each, so that would be 15. One of them carries 5, so that gets to 20, and then 2 30-year sentences, so we are up to 80 years maximum in prison if my mental math is correct.
Another former Trump ally, Paul Manafort, found guilty of 8 counts of bank and tax fraud, making him the first campaign associate of President Trump found guilty by a jury as part of Mueller's special counsel probe into Russian collusion.
You may have heard that the jury reached a verdict on only 8 of the 18 counts. On 10 of those counts, they did not reach a verdict. Mr. Manafort is disappointed of not getting acquittals all the way through or a complete hung jury on all counts. However, he would like to thank Judge Ellis for granting him a fair trial, thank the jury for their very long and hard-fought deliberations. He is evaluating all of his options at this point.
The president landing in West Virginia moments ago, saying on camera he feels bad for Paul Manafort. We'll have to wait and see if the government decides to retry those 10 counts that were decided to be a mistrial by the jury.
Let's bring attorney Emily Campagno into this. Attorney David Lockhall, also with me still, Robert Wade, the former Whitewater prosecutor, who eerily saw all of this, by the way. But let me get your sense of where this maybe goes now, that all of a sudden we have to look at what could come next. Is it more digging around in financial transactions? Does it extend, or does it tip the hand of where the Mueller folks are going, or is that totally separate?
Generally speaking, I think that's separate. I mean, except in the sense that it's obvious that they drilled down hard on financial transactions with respect to the investigation of Manafort.
All right, so is it yours? From that, what does that mean then? If you're Robert Mueller, you're looking at how a jury has decided on this, and even though this wasn't your case per se, but it was the buildup of your case, what does it mean?
I think if you think about what the past shows is that Mueller has been following the evidence wherever it leads, and in Manafort's case, it led to financial transactions and charges of tax fraud, bank fraud, and other fraud against the government. And I think the fact that he did that in the past indicates he's perfectly willing to do that in the future. As you know, has been pointed out, these charges are not about collusion per se. They're about Manafort's fraudulent activities. And the question is, whether or not any of those charges can be applied against Manafort to bring pressure against him in the Russia case. There's nothing about Russia in this trial and in this verdict.
All right.